Okay, everybody. I think we are live now. Let me know if, it all looks good and all of that so that I can make sure I'm not uselessly talking into the void. But this is definitely going to be a bit of a fun and unique one-off sort of stream here. Okay, so I do see someone. Hello, Formica. Welcome, welcome. But as you all know, as we're getting into the cultural, societal, world building stages where we need to start going into individual society examples. For example, something I want to do is like food cultures, and we can't really build food cultures for these down the road if we just have a whole world, right? Like that will make it more difficult for us to have useful examples. Oh my gosh, we have a lot of people here. Hello, Bavilia. Hello, Jake. Hello, Alan. Okay. But yes, so I thought instead of just me picking some random examples for us to move forward with, yes, food culture, um, that we could come up with them together. And I do have a lot of like requirements of things that I'm looking for just to make this very useful for the guide. But we'll see what we can do. Yeah, welcome Neokuma and Des Viper. It's gonna be a party today. I can already feel it. I'm gonna warn everyone, I'm really tired. I feel like I say this almost every stream. I have some sort of disclaimer of my state of existence. But I'm very excited for this. So I have pulled, just to get everyone set up real quick with what we have here. I have basically a copy of the slides that I used for building the Middle Ages eras for the maps. So I have our world map here, and then for every major landmass, I have both all the little regions and what's kind of going on there, as well as all the maps that are relevant of that. So like, we have our antiquity, biomes, I think that's climate, a bunch of the other ones down in here, right? And I have this for every major landmass. And then I have also pulled all of the recommendations. I think I found them all off of the video comments and then out of Discord. I think I pulled all the ideas and suggestions there from people that either wanted to throw out an suggestion early or just couldn't be here. And then I have our little board to work with. Let's see. Oh my gosh, you just said cookies for Micah? I'm really jealous. I had pan-seared salmon and I made this like salad thing with like quinoa and chickpeas and spinach, and it was just very healthy. It was unfortunate. It really was. Now I want cookies. Hello, Chris. Hello, Miles. Work is lame and this is better. So taking a teensy weensy break. I like it. I like it. Work breaks for fun stuff. I don't think this is going to go super long unless I get really, really chatty. So I apologize in advance if that's the case. But yes. Um, so, oh my gosh, everyone said, okay. It was good. It was good, but it was just very healthy. And yes, I also really like salmon, but it was like, I don't know. I get freaked out when I eat salmon that's not like at a nice restaurant because like fish in general like has that like it slightly freaks me out a little bit, like the smell of it and everything. And it was grocery store salmon, which I've never made myself salmon before, so I don't know. It made me nervous that I was going to give myself food poisoning, but I think it's fine. Welcome, Aaron. Okay, so here's the idea. Here's are the requirements that we're going to go with. We're going to come up with 3 scenarios or 3 stories that we're going to world build around because as you all know, I am a writer. I'm a fantasy writer, so all of my personal world building is done from the context of world building for a novel. And obviously there are a ton of other world building use cases that other people have that are equally valid and useful, and you would probably approach how you do this later stuff based off them. I'm a writer, so we're going to lean into the writing for story idea, right? So what I want us to do is 2 of these examples are going to be more story-led, which is my typical approach, where we're going to come up with like a pitch for a story, the subgenre, the characters, right? Like that high-level idea. Obviously, this is never going to be a real story, but like that high-level idea. And then we're going to then figure out, okay, well, where in our world do we want to put it? And the world aspect of this will be a little bit more vague because basically in each step when we're going like, okay, well, let's build out the culture. All right, well, what culture would best serve this story, right? And then building it from that perspective, right? And we'll have like we can think of some of that stuff off the top of our head here, but like the idea is going to be very story forward, character forward. And then we're going to come up with one that is going to be world based, world led, I guess you could say, which is going to be more from the perspective of let's find an interesting place on the map. Let's figure out a story that could happen from there. And then from there, we'll figure out what the story is. And that story might be more vague as we go through and sort of figure out like what would best serve the world or make the most sense in the world. Which the idea of doing this extra example actually came from Ross. I will give him credit for this. I feel like he's the good idea fairy of the week. But he suggested going in this direction because there's a lot of people that come up with ideas like that, and I'm a little not odd for the world building community, but slightly less standard perhaps, or at least there's two kind of directions you can go in plus all the middle ground. Let's see, what did I miss in chat? Yes, salmon is expensive. Yes, it freaks you out if you make it wrong. Yeah, and the smell of it just freaks me out. I don't know why. And like, is quinoa? There's quinoa and like couscous, and I think quinoa is the one with like the little like you could see parts of like this shell, and it just reminds me of little worms. So it always freaks me out. So it was just an tasty but anxiety-inducing meal. Hello, Conlangery. Yes, the good idea fairy. Yeah, because we're giving the idea for the world building festival was Ross's idea in the first place after we did the mapathon. So I was talking to him about that earlier. So now it's just this is the week of talking about Ross's good ideas coming to fruition. But anyway, so what I think would be best to start with is our story-led ideas. And we do have some initial examples here, which we'll get to in a minute. And I sort of bolded sort of the key concept of all of them because it's kind of a lot of text to read through, and we'll kind of go through these. And I separated them from setting ideas, magic ideas, and story ideas, like plot ideas. And obviously a lot of these overlap a little bit, but that's the rough idea. So I want us to start with the subgenres. And this could be not even just subgenre. This could be like getting into a little bit of like the high level, like dominant trope for the story that we're going to have. So I tried to figure out how to do like a poll, but I couldn't quite figure that out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come up with like a list of ideas here, and we'll just number them, and then people can put their favorite one in the chat, and we'll like try and pick the two most favorite ones, right? But essentially what we're trying to aim for here is an example that will give us a lot of flexibility to work with, right? So like I like the ideas that are like, let's go with something inspired by this, but maybe less so for the world specific part, because I want us to have the flexibility to create something unique through this. Although like picking things that are inspired by other things is great, but I feel like that's slightly less useful for an example project, right? So we can go with inspired by things, maybe less so for the world, but more for like stories or plots, and try and keep them unique. And the other thing I want to have is I want one of the story-led ideas to be smaller scale. So like something where we're within maybe like a single city, the number of people in it are smaller, and then one that's a little bit larger and more epic, because that scope is going to affect how you world build a lot when you're doing something that's more story-led. So that's the thing. So we're going to come up with ideas first for like main, like subgenre, trope, plot, whatever. So just some like general ideas. We could have a heist story. We could have romantasy. We could have like a epic chosen one, save the world. Wow, I can type. Throw ideas in the chat if you have any to add to this. Let me see which ones we had from here. These are more world ideas. We can throw in middle-aged cyberpunk. I'm not really sure how we do that, but we had a good idea in the Discord for that. So that's an idea. Yeah, I think those are like mainly the like high level genre ideas. Let's see. Raiders from a far-off land kidnap the protagonist's child partner, and they must go on a trek across the world to retrieve them. Feat every culture along the way. So I will add another thing. I want us to be semi-limited in scope, where if we have, like, say we're doing like political structures, governments, right? And we have our 3 scenarios. If we did something like that where they have to, like, go through a ton of different cultures and places, you'd have to world build every single one of those, whereas we wanna only build 1 per example. So I do wanna, like, limit that a little bit just for the sake of the example, but, rescue kidnapped, family from raiders could be an idea. Bronze punk. Is that, like, to go with here? Bronze punk. Yes, happy Pride. I feel like I skipped one. Tragedy vibes, except it's everyone who isn't the protagonist that gets the short end of the stick, and the protagonist just gets to suffer through it. Tragedy vibes. We could do a tragedy. Let's see. Yes. I mean, you're not wrong, Pavilia. When Pavilia mentioned this, well, okay, when you first mentioned doing Middle Ages cyberpunk, you were like, ha, it's a joke. But then you're like, but actually, what if we did it like this? Which actually made sense, and I decided to take that as a actual idea. So, yeah. Small town murder and secrets are revealed story. Oh, that could be fun. So, small town murder mystery. And just remember, all of these are going to be fantasy stories, right? But, like, that can still be fantasy stories. I was going to suggest that a queen has to go on a diplomatic mission to get countries to recognize her nation, but that is more of a globe-trotting adventure. Yeah, we want to avoid globe-trotting. Something sword and sorcery, or CSL, that would be fun. Sword and sorcery, or style. That would be very fun. Political revolution. Are abacuses middle-aged cyberpunk? I don't know, they could be. Political intrigue in some way? Yeah, I feel like it would be cool to have one of these have, like, political intrigue. And not all of these are, like, what's the word? Have to be separate. Game of Thrones, political intrigue. A siege. Right, because, like, political intrigue could be combined with a siege, perhaps. A mutually exclusive, yeah, for Micah, that's the word I was looking for. Did I get them all? Okay. Let's see which of these, political intrigue, siege. Yeah, I haven't watched anything with a murder or a crime in a while. Well, I mean, this could be the move. Okay, so to flesh out these a little bit, for the heist story, I feel like we would probably tend to lean, like, probably like Six of Crows level inspo, right? If we did something that was, like, romantasy, I feel like we'd probably lean towards, like, court intrigue. I can spell court intrigue with that. Epic chosen one saves the world, right? Could be some sort of, like, quest there. We have our middle-aged cyberpunk, bronze punk, which the specific idea that you got to, Pavilia, was something with, like, playing off trading companies and doing a bunch of stuff like that. I didn't copy the whole thing over. But if we choose that one, we could go with it. Some sort of a tragedy. I don't know what specifically we'd go with, but it could very much have like a Shakespearean kind of inspo vibe. Shakespearean inspo vibes. Have to go rescue kidnapped family from raiders. That's good. Small town murder mystery, sword and sorcery, or wuxia style, political revolution. 10 and 11 feel like they could go together. Maybe 9 and 11 too. Yeah, like a siege could fit into either of these. Political revolution. Let's add a siege to this one. And for this one, have it... Yeah, because political revolution already lends itself to there being some level of combat, right? And then a siege ties into that, where political intrigue doesn't necessarily have to be combat involved, right? So we'll separate them like that. What a arms race for the bronze punk plot. Yeah. It's very much a setting rather than a genre. Yeah, like, so some of these aren't... Yeah, they're not necessarily genres and more story tropes, starting story tropes, I guess. But this just gives us a good starting point. Okay, so we have 10 options here. If everyone could put in the chat, like, 2 of them, your 2 favorite, but don't put them in the same chat. Put them separately so I can kind of just, like, look at it and try and figure out what people said. Oh, wait, is someone telling me how to pronounce things properly? I always appreciate that. Hold on. The X in transcriptions of Chinese words makes a sound similar to the English sh, so forgive my would be wuxia. Ah, okay. I can never pronounce anything. I appreciate that. So wuxia. Could we do a poll? I don't know how to do a poll, Miles. I don't know how. If someone knows how to do a poll, I could do it, but I don't know how. Let's see. Okay, so we're getting some things coming in. I feel like I need to... What would be the easiest way to do it? We're gonna go, so we have 1 for heist, 1 for 4, 1 for 9. Let's see, 8, 10, 9, 2, 1, but make it middle-aged cyberpunk? Is that what you're saying, Alan? 3. I don't know what Jake is on about with that. I can't read that. I don't know what that says. 7 or 9. I feel like we totally didn't cover those in the thing because I don't recognize any of those characters. 4. I feel like this is the least efficient way to do this, but we're still here. 8, 4, 9, 4, 3. What's the next one? 8, 2. Oh, rescue kidnapped loved ones. So I think you were giving me rescue kidnapped. I think that adds that. 1. Okay. Gosh, everyone likes 4. That one's definitely gonna... 4, 4, 4. There's another 8. You're too late, Bavilia. Straw poll would have been great, maybe for the next one, but you are too late. This has already happened. Okay. Oh my gosh, how far behind am I? Okay. 2, 4. You didn't do the blank one, which was one of the things we were heckling about. Oh, you're heckling me. Okay. So that's totally why I didn't know what it was. I will blame that on my impronunciation of IPA characters. 10, 1, 9. Okay, so I think that's good. Okay. So what we are down to is Middle Ages cyberpunk / bronze punk. And I think we're at 9. Oh, George, the stream was actually fantastic. It was a very, very good IPA masterclass. Like, who would have thought that, someone who's actually a professor were really good at, teaching people stuff. It was good. A lot of M&Ms were eaten. Yes, because I did awesome. I don't know. I don't really feel like I did super awesome, but yes, the recording, the live from it should still be available. Hello, Nemo. From Sunday, so you can go back and watch it. Like, honestly, I think it'd be still interesting to watch as a rewatch. But I think 9 1 over 8, unless I didn't count right. Na 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 9 9 8. Yeah, I think 9 1. Yeah, 4 9 and 8 are the top 3. So 4 9 and 8. Okay, so let's go with subgenre isn't the word I'm looking for here. We'll do core idea. Yeah, I definitely didn't expect it to take so long, Jake. But now that it happened, I feel like it wasn't surprising that it took that long given how good it was. But yeah, we basically went through the something that starts with the P consonants, not pulmonary. I feel like that's the wrong word. For it. And we're gonna have to come back and do like, you know, vowels and stuff like that later. But okay. So no, not plosive, not plosive. It was the general category of consonants. It's like, oh wait, it was pulmonary? That was the right word, Jake? Pulmonic. That's the one I was thinking of. Okay, so I basically had it. We went through the pulmonic consonants, right? Yes? Yeah, pulmonic. Yeah. So, Middle Ages, Cyberpunk, Bronze Punk, Sword and Sorcery or Wuxia style, and Political Revolution, Siege. So, I think that for, let's see, larger epic and then smaller scale, Cyberpunk, Bronze Punk could definitely be something that's smaller scale. Although, would you say Cyberpunk stories tend to be smaller scale or larger scale? Because Sword and Sorcery or Wuxia style would definitely be, I feel like, a smaller scope story. Typically, like just they tend to not be as expansive in the pulmonary fish. What? I'm so confused. That is not the answer I was looking for. And then a political revolution or siege. If you're going through a siege, that one could also be smaller scope. Yeah, cyberpunk stories also tend to be small scope, but have a massive amount of social commentary. Okay, so this would be small scale, which we could do. So that could be this one. Middle Ages, Cyberpunk. And then we could go 8 is the biggest. 9 is the smallest. Yeah, so then if we need one that's like larger scope. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, if we focus this on a revolutionary siege, that's also pretty small scope. So I wonder if we would want to go more for the Wuxia style then, if it's larger scale, like you're saying for Micah. Because I know Sword and Sorcery tends to be smaller, but Wuxia style could be larger, so we could go with that. Even though Political Revolution and Siege won out. Right, yeah, it's very small. Let's see. The World Let's Story could be the Political Revolution. Yeah, so I think we can aim for something like that. Like, definitely aim for something more political, but I do want us to look at the world first. But maybe we keep that in mind, that that's what we're going on about. So let's do this. And then let's do this question mark, Political Revolution Siege. And we'll try to find some place that would be good for that and go at it from a more world-focused direction. If you're not careful, Wuxia style could end up being worldwide side. Yeah, we're not going worldwide. We're not going that big. We'll probably keep it within like a single like kingdom, perhaps. At least for the main core parts of the story that we'd be focusing on. Revolution could be background theme in any of these stories. That's true. The World Let's Story could be the political revolution. Yeah, okay. And what do we mean by scale? So to give a bit of an example, right? One of the books I'm writing has a very small scale feel. This is the one I'm creating the spell language for, where it's a heist novel, and there's actually, like, a bunch of high-level stuff going on, like, their kingdom is being invaded by this other country that has, like there's a lot of, like, large scale, multiple kingdom conflicts and stuff going on, but the story is focusing on this very small piece of characters that are like they only go to a few settings. They're more focused on just filling out this heist, and we're not getting into like larger scale stuff, right? Even though it's sort of there in the background. So for a story like that, you'd have a lot of like really more detailed things for smaller groups. So, like this one university, right, that they visit a lot. That's getting fleshed out a lot. Whereas something that I'm thinking as more like larger and epic, you're going to be like those small details like that are going to be more vague because we just have a lot more moving pieces and stuff, is sort of the vibes I'm going for. See, Demoncracy is cool. I mean, that is cool. When you say Wuxia, do you mean Shanjia? I don't know. This was one of the suggestions. I don't know if that's what they actually meant. Kind of a war story. I don't know why I'm thinking of Bosnia moment. Typo or political statement. Both. I'm a walking double entendre. Okay. By something tells me this world isn't going to be able to handle Shanjia? Yeah, I don't know. Also, I probably pronounced that wrong. But anyway. Could be more than world scale. Yeah, we're not going more than world scale here. So, we got this far. So let's start with our Middle Ages cyberpunk, right? Which, of course, we would be doing this. Okay, yes, we're starting with Middle Ages cyberpunk. I'm just going to delete that now. Let me pull up real quick in the Discord what our idea for this was before, if I can find it. I think it was general chat. Cyberpunk. Okay, is this the idea? Massive corporate influence over traditional government, massive inequality, underclass of exploited people rebelling against that social order. If we played off that kind of trading colonies that we saw earlier colonizers and trading companies doing, and then had multiple of them set up shop in the same location in a way that they dominated the local government but balanced each other's influence. So that's one idea for how to do it. Is it sci-fi fantasy or more so a cyberpunk themes in a medieval Renaissance setting? So it would be definitely a medieval, or we could do early Renaissance setting, but it would be like cyberpunk themes. Yes, it did start in a discussion that lasted the better part of the day. Big medieval city, magic tech guilds. Wait, what happened to the Bronze Age thing? Oh, that's true. I mean, well, I think we need to do Middle Ages just so that we're all in the same time period for all of these stories with those maps, because I don't want to go back to the earlier ones. Okay, we're debating which one it is. Yeah, because we'll get back to that one next. Okay, so if we have, let's say for our world, do we want to do a magic tech guilds or the like trading colonies, or does anyone else have another suggestion for roughly what kind of setting to have for this? Do we want to keep a lot more near/Middle Eastern influence instead of just Europe again? Yeah, I mean, we can definitely like spread out from like we're not gonna, in terms of the world building, we're not necessarily gonna start with like any specific real world culture and try to like emulate that, but we're definitely gonna try to be more not just copy medieval European stuff, right? The medieval cyberpunk story could add some cool elements of artisan guilds supplanting the power of the king, Magitech training academy. For trade in this period, maybe something around an island sea. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a new vote on Do we want to do some sort of like magical guilds or like magic tech sort of things? Do we want to go with trading colonies? Should be set in a highly urbanized, overpopulated society with widespread stratification of society. It'd be interesting if it wasn't an autocracy / monarchy either. True, true. Yeah, so I mean, we definitely need it to be urbanized, populated, very stratified. And he's heavily exploited by commercial enterprises, right? So the question is like, who are I think are power like are exploiting commercial enterprise? We could have magical guilds, that's magitech type companies. We could go with trading colonies. Colonies feel not so middle age, more Renaissance. Yeah, but there are tons of colonies that were pre Renaissance. Like it's just because a lot of the ones that we think of with the Age of Discovery and that time period tend to be pretty common, but there's like tons of colonies from before that. Well before that. Middle-aged guild governments of cities are exciting. I'm interested in the idea of religious schools having control over the magitech. Early delving into firearms. It does feel like it wants to lean towards the Renaissance, which may not be a bad thing. That's true. Venice had colonies. Yeah, Venice had colonies. There's a lot of places that had colonies in of various forms throughout history, like going back thousands of years. So, like some magic guilds managed to monopolize or oligopolize virtually everything. Yeah. Yeah, Japan is technically a China colony, and ancient Greece had colony cities all over the place. Yeah, they did. Yeah, so I mean, we could try to merge them. Like, maybe we have like magic tech guild colonies or something like that. Magitech guild colonies. Yeah, exactly. And like we can have slightly different like equivalents in different places, right? So we wouldn't want to put something that we're leaning more like more early focused in the same place as like something that we're going more Renaissance focused in terms of technology, right? We'd want to separate those out, but yeah, no, they both want to. The parliament has taken regency for decades to centuries. That could be interesting. Yeah, I mean, we could so Renaissance-esque Magitech Guild colonies. Yeah, we can try and go with something like again, like we're not going straight like medieval Renaissance vibe here. So we'll go with that, and that'll give us a little bit of a starting point for the world. Oh, that's true. In Atla, you have the rapid industrialization of the Fire Nation, which then takes over the less industrialized places, and the industrialization can be replaced with magitech. That's true. That's true. Think Atla Fire Nation. Yeah. Okay, what I think is one of the main defining features of cyberpunk style societies is that individuals don't own anything, they rent everything. So like that's probably a good thing to focus on in my opinion. Okay. Rent not own. Okay. Okay, hello. Grace says, hello, what are we doing right now? We are coming up with some scenario settings for using for world building examples later on in my world building guide series. feel like I missed a thing. Weapons are legal, even fist fights. Really, for sure, I think for this to work, what you'd have is capitalism showing up early. So you can also have a response to or resistance against it early. Yeah. Magic tech that works. Yeah. The reason for them all being concentrated in one location could be linked to some magical property of the location, right? Like they're trying to collect some resource used to create their magical artifacts or something. Yeah. Yeah. Feel like I'm missing something. Yeah. Okay. I think that's enough for the world part of this one. So what we want to figure out, and I'm going to be completely honest with y'all, I have not consumed a ton of cyberpunk style stories. So I definitely need some suggestions here, but we need to come up with like what the character is. So this could be like a single sentence, like who they are. We want to figure out what their internal arc is and what the external arc is of the story. And again, this is going to be really just the hook or the pitch of it because we're not doing this whole thing. We just want to know high level what this story is going to be about. Yeah, so if anyone has any ideas for that, let me know. But I think this like very much gives us the tone of it too. Like I feel like these kinds of stories come with some pretty strong expectations there. Whatever it is, it needs to be depressing. Yeah. Yeah. I like to have my stories be very internal arc mundane. Okay, well should be some ideas, people. Academy/guild contractor, read mercenary struggling to find their true values. Okay. So we could have okay, so the arc of characters in Cyberpunk has to be about someone of low position struggling against the system despite the overwhelming power of it. Okay, so we want someone that is in a position of less power. So would a guild contractor be in that position, or would we want to go with someone inside society or outside of society? So inside of society could be like, maybe someone who works for one of like the Magitech guilds or something. And then someone outside of society could be someone from one of the like populations being more strongly exploited directly. But perhaps there's people on my roof. It's okay. For some reason, this reminds me of Arcane and Jace's arc, though instead of getting opportunities, they will be rebuffed from everywhere. I think you're talking about Arcane, like the Arcane, right? Because I have not actually seen that, so I'm not sure what that is. I like a merc because they're not bound by any of these institutions, but are still affected by them. Maybe. Can you hear that? They're sawing something on my roof. Maybe the character is in a debt colony. They were forced to come to the new colony because of a debt. The cheat code for Cyberpunk is, I think Bruce Sterling came up with this one, but I could be wrong, is high tech, low life. Cyberpunk heroes tend to kind of be losers. Okay. Who could not work within the system for okay, so they're not working within the system. Watch season 1, it's good. Okay, yeah, I'll have to do that for Arcane. Maybe it's someone like a servant of a wealthy estate or enterprise who gets to experience both the bleakness of lower society while directly interacting with upper society, a clerk or something. Okay. Okay. A merchant might be better. Magitech savant is a possibility. No family. Okay. Okay. We have a lot of options. Let's go with a quick vote. So we have let's see. Magitech savant. We could go with a merchant / clerk within one of these corps or something. I know we have so many votes today. I've never done votes before. Okay, hold on. Merchant / Let's do servant slash, I can't type today, within wealthy. I'll just write corp because it's shorter. What was the other one? Guild, contractor, read, aka mercenary. Okay. The manual vote announcing really gives off the medieval vibe of this stream. Yeah. Yeah. Failed aspirant for one of the guilds. What is a failed aspirant? Okay. Yeah, George, if people want to like make straw polls for this, that might be easier. If you're willing to do that, George, I think someone else mentioned that they'd be willing to do it too. That would be fine. Oh, guy who wants to get in doesn't make it past examinations. Rejected. Okay, so let's go with this. One of my thoughts, though, is what if we had two characters, either 2B characters that have to like work together, or it could be a romance. I make everything a romance, just fun fact, as like a side plot. I always have them because I think they're fun. I like aspirant into merc, still has skills but no formal recognition. Into merc. This shit happens a lot in ancient China. Yeah. Okay. So, because we could pick two of these if we did that, two of the contradicting ones. Like we could have like either an actual like, what happened to the merc? Oh, killed contractor slash merc. I love romances. Yeah, they're the vibe. But yeah, because what if we did failed aspirant into merc? So like they were rejected. And we also had a servant or clerk within a wealthy corporation, and they had to like. I mean, is that like a common plot thing in like cyberpunk where they would then have to work together? Yeah, I think those are our main ideas. Someone from outside the society moving in, a street criminal moving up in the world, and a wealthy aristocrat who's fallen from grace. Yeah, people can vote for multiple. That's fine. Savant and the reject versus contractor and the clerk. The clerk and the savant could be the same person. Oh, that's true. The reject and the merc could also be the same person, and the clerk could have been the one who took the merc's job prospect. Ooh, this is literally cyberpunk edge runners. Okay, wait, hold on. If we... Common thread is that they are someone who's resentful of the system and is hostile towards it. Servant could work as long as they are discontent with their position. Okay. So... Clerk and the savant could be the same person. The reject and the merc could also be the same person. Okay. Copy paste what in the chat? What am I copy pasting in the chat? I have no idea what you mean, George. I'm not sure. Can I like not see the link? Is that the problem here? Oh, the straw poll link? I think the chat nukes the link completely. Okay, hold on. Like, is it there if I go on my phone, maybe? Switch account. We're on world builds. Let's see. My current stream. Okay. Yeah, send it on. Yeah, if you could send it to me on Discord, then I can pull it over. I'll send it on Discord. Perfect. Let's see what we got. Okay. There we go. Copy link. Boom. A poll. How will I know who wins? Maybe if I click on it too. Let's see. Okay. We have. Yes. Okay. So people should vote. Go vote real quick. You have like a couple minutes or a minute of some form. There's a show results button at the bottom. Oh no, what's happening? Ooh. Okay. Okay, people are voting. People are voting. People are voting. Let's see. Okay. People are still actively voting. Okay, we can probably cut it off now, I think. I think now is good. Very close vote, yes. Although right now the servant or clerk within a wealthy corporation has 11 votes, which is pretty good. And then the failed aspirant is second. The poll shows that all the ideas are good. Yeah. Closed. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I feel like that's good. So let's go with, we have servant clerk within the wealthy corp, and then the second is our failed aspirant. We go with something like this. So clearly this means the story should have an ensemble cast. I mean, we could do an ensemble cast. I mean, okay. So let's hold off on that. We have this one is our winner, right? What is our external plot going to be, right? What are these people trying to do together, right? Like our pitch of the story, right? Because I'm thinking if we did blowing up the guild and failing, but why, right? So like, why are they trying to do this? Well, but they're not trying to become either wealthier, right? I mean, if you want to romance the failed warrior aspirant and the goody two shoes clerk, sounds like a fun pairing to me. It would be fun. Usually focus on a small group of characters trying to overthrow an evil corporation. Okay, so let's say our two POV characters are our servant clerk, goody two shoes, sees wealth, but is discordant. I feel like I'm using that word wrong there, but we'll go with that. And then we have failed aspirant to mark rejected. Would be our POV 2. And maybe they team up with these other two characters, potentially, right? To make a team. And then if they're trying to... Okay, wait. Maybe the servant hears us gets involved in something they aren't supposed to, and they're roped into a larger conspiracy that is trying to fight the influence of the guilds. I like that. The clerk who has a good working relationship with their superiors, but is still debt-bound to the company. So it's like, what's the point of the social connection, right? Gets envious. Okay. So we could have our... Okay. So our servant, clerk, here's something they shouldn't. about something. Roped into group trying to overthrow guilds, maybe? Okay. Debt bound to the guilds. Okay. Well, okay. Sabotage evil. Because they're from the lower classes anyway, they still live in functional poverty while their immediate colleagues don't, so it's an opportunity to make that class and wealth divide very present. Yeah. Good. Servant clerk finds out about some shady stuff, has an attack of conscience, spills it over drinks at a low-class bar to the failed merc who takes a chance to get revenge on the middle manager who rejected their application all those years ago. I feel like this is a class-up setup where they think they're trying to accomplish the same thing, but their motivations are actually at odds. I feel like that's always good. Like, you always need, if you're having multiple characters, there needs to be some sort of conflict there, even if they, like, think they're trying to do the same thing. I feel like that would be fun. Trying to overthrow the guilds, and then failed aspirant into merc rejected POV2. Into group trying to. So, do we think that the failed aspirant was already part of the like rebel group or whatever? Oh, it could also turn out they are pawns used by somebody else. The classic reform versus revolution trope. That's true. That could be a thing. Where one of them is looking for reform, the other one revolution. So maybe this servant or clerk thinks they're trying to go for reform. Yeah, I agree with that. The "you lied to me" plot is very common. Okay, so then we could have our failed aspirant into merc, so rejected from the guilds and all that stuff. Definitely trope, most central ideological debate among socialists. But they end up in contact with the group while working to bring down their target. So maybe they also end up in contact with them. So failed aspirant into merc. What are they doing here? If they're sort of like what are they doing? Like, what is their job? What is their purpose before this that they're trying to do, where they also run into a group trying to overthrow guilds? But they don't know that necessarily. They want revolution. So I think two characters at... Make this bigger. Two characters at odds with guild, magic guild dominated society end up there's almost always the undercurrent that bringing down the whole evil system is impossible. Even the most ambitious only try to bring down single corporations. Okay, so it should be something a little smaller scale, which makes sense given that we're trying to aim for a smaller scale scope here anyway. So maybe there is like a specific guild or a specifically corrupt person in the guild they're trying to take down. All pervasive helplessness. Tone. Gonna add that there because I feel like that's some vibes. Yeah, so maybe two characters at odds with the magic guild dominated society end up connected to an organization in their efforts to take down particularly corrupt, or I guess in this case it wouldn't be corrupt, maybe corrupt guild leader or something. Let's see. Oh, welcome, Patrick. Micah says, what I think could maybe be explored here is that while the characters are trying to take down a single enterprise, the story could highlight the system as a whole failing or slowly breaking. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Or even a specific industry, take down a vital mine or factory. Yeah, let's say they're both up against a corrupt guild leader or like leadership, right? Maybe it's a council of some form. Yeah, it would take too many to do it. Yeah, so they're just like trying to play some really small part to try and take down this guild that. Do we want it to be the one the servant or clerk is working for? And do we want it to be the one that like rejected the failed aspirant? I know someone had mentioned something like that. So they start out trying to bring down the middle manager who's corrupt and evil, and as they investigate, they find that the scope of the evil is far bigger than the ability to bring it down. Ooh. And discover the problem. It's bigger. Patrick says, I am Kieran Salen on Discord. Oh, okay. Hello. That helps. I agree limiting the target to just one guild, one operation, or even just one particularly nasty antagonist. Yeah. If the problem is bigger than they thought. Yeah. Okay, I feel like this gives us the vibes, though, and then maybe they end up teaming up with these two characters. But our main characters are a servant within Wealthy Corp, or we'll say within Wealthy Guild. Because they're like, I feel like the guilds are like almost like companies here. And failed aspirant into say into the guild. We'll just say that. Keeps it simple. And then, so we already have our world roughly. Our internal arc could be I feel like it's more like, well, I mean the external arc here, right, is that try to take down corrupt guild council of like one guild. Corrupt guilds council. Discover deeper problem. Right? There would have to be a main group with a lot of resources that inspire many smaller groups to start taking down their own targets. Yeah, in order to do the whole like system change, which we could always think about this as the first book in a series where maybe that's the end goal where they'd have to get more people involved, but like have to we'll just say have to start the momentum for bigger change, right? And that ends up being something along their goal. So then their inner arc, what were we saying here? Inner arc. So I feel like for the aspire, I mean, it could be something where they're trying to like overcome a little bit of their own revenge needs and stuff. Patrick says, what does the guild want? Power, control, knowledge, money. How is magic made, invoked, summoned? I'm not sure about all those specifics yet. I mean, definitely power and money, I feel like would be necessitated here. This is starting to look like book 1 in Political Revolution. Siege is starting to look like the book 3 or 4. I mean, perhaps, but we're going to do different ones because we need different ones. Shoot me out some quick internal arc ideas for the two of these other than a romance B-plot. I want something for each of them that then ties together. It could be like trying to get past desire for revenge. It could be overcoming complacency, maybe for the servant, right? I feel like this is kind of covered here. I feel like Magitech requires some sort. Yeah, I feel like they're probably some sort of magical resource of some form. Servant develops class consciousness and realizes that they are a part of the system of oppression. Ooh. Arc servant realizes they are part of system of oppression. A double agent serving for a third party. I feel like it'd be interesting if we had another person that like they realize at some point like one of the twists is that they're being manipulated by another guild to take them down that doesn't actually have good incentives. Revenge is amazing. Fair. Internal arc is about the realization of the hopelessness of the quest and how then they react to that. Yeah, I mean, we could say like dealing with hopelessness and this idea that it won't end with them, right? And the best they can do is like maybe help provide some momentum. We're gonna end up with a found family, right? We could maybe if that's the goal here, we could have a between all of them some sort of found family. Oh, ooh, I like that. Our aspirant has to let go of desire for glory slash honor for something more. We'll go with something more selfless. Okay, let's go with that. And then for the players, right? So obviously we are going to have our main Magitech guild to be overthrown, or that they're going to try to. We'll just say that Magitech guild, and then we'll say another guild that's secretly influencing them. Can any of you think of any other like major players that we would have to include here? Which I'm going to real quick duplicate slide. Just move our notes up here so that we can keep all of this. Okay. Okay, let's see. Yeah, sometimes all you can do is give everything you can in the hope of a better future, even if you don't live to see it. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's some of the message here. Third character that is secretly revealed to have been working with the corrupt guild and sabotaging the protagonist's efforts and or betrays them near the climax of the story. Yeah, we could have that. We could have a betrayer slash saboteur. How do you spell saboteur? Is that how you spell it? Saboteur. From guild. Found family has to include multiple generations or life stages with everyone sharing their wisdom and energy across an age. Otherwise, it's just sparkling friend group. I mean, it could be a sparkling friend group. Council of Aristocrats or estates that oversees relationships between the guilds. That's true. So we could have our aristocrats slash, we'll say elite. Savant could be the heir of the corp they're trying to take down. That kind of goes against what we have right now for them being like the servant. Oh, you mean this savant. Ooh, this magic savant, heir of corp, we'll say of guild they're trying to take down. Incubation time is up. Oh. Thank you for popping in, Death Viper. Yeah, you can always check it at the end. Or servants lost family, sibling, lover uses a magic source. Yeah, I mean, they could be like, say like X-Air maybe, something, or something where they're not like perfectly intertwined. Traders like a secret. Oh, yeah. So we could have like internal secret service. We could have a foreign power trying to get influence. I think that's a good idea. I think we're going to skip that one for here because it starts to expand the scope a little bit more than I want for this. But I think this is probably good. Our Middle Ages cyberpunk, which, yeah, I feel like is more of a Renaissance cyberpunk kind of vibe. Organized crime and our gangs are usually a thing the lower classes. That's a good idea. Let's add that because that fits. Organized crime group slash gangs. Okay, so that gives us an idea of all of these things that we would need to tell this story. Okay, so let's move on to our next one. Although actually, we should name this story. I feel like we should give it like a dramatic title, almost like the book title for this scenario. So if anyone wants to pitch a book title for this, the first one I see that I like, I'm just gonna go with. I like that. Yeah. Older sibling who saw what the company was doing and talked back and was disowned. Yeah. Sold. Or next tier. I want something that like tells it that like makes it really clear which one it is so that people remember. A clockwork murder. I mean, there's no murder per se. Aspirant. Did I spell it wrong somewhere? Hold on. Oh, just aspirant. Wands of Chains. No, it has to say cyberpunk. Has to say whatever. I don't know. I wanted to like give clear vibes of which one it's talking about so I can just reference this and people will remember what I'm talking about. I mean, we could just call it like something referring to each of the characters. The something in the aspirant or something could be the name. Mage Tank Incorporated, Cyberpunk 1470. Oh my gosh. The clerk and his, her, their dream, maybe just the clerk. The clerk and the aspirant. Okay, wait, hold on. I know, I got it. Okay, this is gonna be the clerk and the aspirant, and then the subtitle is Cyberpunk 1477. Like the series title is Cyberpunk 1477, but book 1 is the clerk and the aspirant. Or we could switch them. We could switch them and just have like the main thing. Oh, I know everyone's just really into Cyberpunk 1477. So let's. Oh no, what did I do? Oh no. Let's do that. Yeah, we can go with that. I'm just going to leave this so that I remember it, but that's not going to be part of the like title. The title is Cyberpunk 1477. We're here for it. Yeah, Cyberpunk 1477. Vivilia says, why is it that my jokes are the things that see mass appeal? It's just, I don't know, it happens sometimes. Although honestly, even when I was doing a lot of software engineering, sometimes my ridiculous ideas for solving the like, you know, performance issues or stuff like that, I'd be like, well, what if we just this ridiculous thing? And they're like, oh, well, actually. So I feel like sometimes that just vibes. But okay. Cyberpunk 1477 sold. Moving on. Okay. Let's move on to the Wuxia style story, which I'm going to Google. But I think for this one, let's start with the arc and come back to the world and setting last. Because like Cyberpunk, we kind of did that first because that's a really integral part of a Cyberpunk story, right? But I want to go about it from a slightly different angle for this one. So let's get some ideas. And I'm going to Google some big like tropes. Because I know we need, let's copy this. I know we definitely need the martial arts, which is always fun. So hold on. Martial arts. Let's see. No tournament arc unless it can be done really good. Okay. Search for lost scroll, a piece of knowledge. Arc, frustrated young student sets off on his own after his master says he's not ready. He's not, but he manages to survive and grow despite this. Not to just go full-on journey to the west with it. 1 or 2 chi specialists is great, though. So martial artist, chi specialists. Usually feature a huge amount of internal reflection and the personal journey of the protagonist with martial arts and self-improvement as a tool the story uses to progress its narrative. Bad guy after secret knowledge to rule the world. Could be fun. Oh, they're after the Emperor's magic stamps. Okay. Martial arts chi specialists. We want internal reflection and personal journey with martial arts and self-improvement. Okay. Can I like... I wish I could copy from comments. That'd be so much easier. So some of our ideas for the story. So we have... Oh my gosh. Student sets off on their own after master says not ready. He's not. Anyway, lost piece of knowledge is an idea. That they want to stop the bad guy after magic stamps. Mystery. I do like a good mystery side plot. Hero has to help the good-hearted but not totally competent monarch in defeating the ruthless invaders. That could be an idea. Hero help good-hearted but semi-incompetent monarch defeat ruthless invaders. TV Trips is a good page on Wuxia, which we can look at. Oh, I've seen so many of those. A female student disguises as a boy to get into training academy. Discovered, pursued, to keep secrets. Could be about a very ambitious, bright-eyed character who gets very jaded through their experiences on their journey and develops an altruistic kindness alongside their ambition. Becomes jaded to develop altruistic kindness alongside ambition. We're not gonna go Blue Eye Samurai with this, are we? Oh, we're gonna go Blue Eye Samurai with this, aren't we? I mean, we could pull some vibes from that. Seeing a potty break so I can say hi for the algorithm. Hello, Gregatron. Thank you. Okay, so I feel like we definitely need to have a mystery plot. I feel like that'll be important. Which is often big on the code of honor. Okay. Okay. So I feel like we need a water margin jump scare. A demon growing inside the student can only be suppressed by meditation, but demon gives student unique powers, something like that. Yeah. So I feel like for this one, we need to find what the mystery is, like the quick question of the mystery. We need to find what the like the big bad or overarching antagonist is, and then like our character concept. I feel like that'll give us a big idea of the story here. So for the character, we have a student is setting off before they're ready. We have, I mean, those are sort of like the bad guy parts to go after. This one, yeah. So we have, I think, 4 main ideas right now. Demon growing inside the suit can only be suppressed by meditation. Could also have a character learning a special language to tap into ancient chi powers that makes him seem more like a witch than a martial artist. That could be interesting. Okay, hold on. They're learning special language to tap into ancient chi powers. Could seem more like a witch than a martial artist. Pull this up here. We could probably mix a bit of chivalric romance in this, which would work well with the honor code. That's true. Honor code Chivalric romance is always fun. Cool. We could have the character be a mentor to help others. And then we had something about like a demon possessed character. Meditate to suppress, but gets powers if they don't. Okay, let's go with this as our set of options. Let me pull Monarch. I'm going to pull these ones to the side because they could tie into some of these. So we have a young student setting off on their own, female servant disguised as a boy, or just it could be like we'll generalize some of these a little bit, not to go so hard into the learning special language, mentor to help others, demon possessed character, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does anyone want to make a poll real quick, or we could just everyone could shout out their favorite, and whichever one I see the most of, I just go with. We'll come back to that idea, Bavilia. Yeah. Which one of these characters do we want to go with for our main character? And think about how we can tie in, like, okay, perfect. You're throwing together a poll. Brilliant. Because we want to poll on that. And then, actually, well, yeah, this could still tie into these other ones. And then we'll go up with that next. And then let me pull up my Discord so I can grab the poll. Let's see, where... Okay. I think this is going well. This is very fun. I feel like we're coming up with some very fun ideas. I'll have to figure out at some point how I want to hold this information because, like, for the most part, everything in my world building guides has been, like, just, like, I don't want to say low effort, but it's just, like, an example world that doesn't really matter, right? So, like, I haven't been, like, posting this stuff anywhere for people to look at because, like, it doesn't feel like I'm creating a thing. The thing I'm creating is the guide. Whereas if you look at how, like, Artifexian does the, his world builder's log, like, the world he's building is the thing. Copy link. Okay, here's the link to vote. Go vote, and then I'll keep ranting. But, like, what he's creating is actually, like, a thing, right? And so he shares about it on his website. So I almost wonder if I'd need to, like, put this stuff somewhere. I don't really know how that would work, but I don't know. I'll have to think about that at some point once we're much, much, much further in. I feel like the demon-possessed character could easily blend into one of the other characters. Yeah, that's true. And if we have, like, 2 top ones that we could merge, we can do that, too. So let me open this up myself. And we've got show results. Pull that over here so I can see both. Okay. People are voting. I really hope you can't hear the work they're doing right now because they're, like, pulling, like, wires or something through my ceiling. And it sounds very loud to me, but, like, my mic is pretty directed, so I don't know how much you'll even pick up on it. Okay, so we have 13 people have voted out of 28 so far. We definitely have some leading contenders. It's very muffled and faint for us, but it's there. Alan says, I love the dropout student being told by a demon, hey kid, I think you're good enough. Let me just get on in that skull of yours and I'll show you how strong you can be. Yeah. I will see the young student setting off on their own. I don't know if anyone has seen Alchemy of Souls. It is my favorite show of all time in the entire world. And it makes me think of that a little bit. It's very fun. Finding a new mentor, except like it's sort of like having a demon mentor, although in the show it's more of like, deadly assassin, which is the best. If you haven't seen Alchemy of Souls, it's my favorite. Yeah, I love it. It's so good. Oh my gosh, it's so heartbreaking when you get into the like, I won't tell you anything. It's so good though. It's so good. And they do have dubbed. You can see it dubbed, not just subbed on, I think, Netflix. So that's how I got my husband and my best friend into watching these sort of like historical dramas, because they were very hesitant to watch things not in English, but they had a dubbed version. The young student sets off with the demon within him because that's the form of power, not ready to control the demon, and has to learn the special demon language to get to his full powers. You could go any way with the demon. It could just be imagined or an epic old evil returning. That's true. We do have a lot of flexibility with that. And it could even be like, it could be a side character. Like, it could even be a character that's not even in their head. And like the demon could be the other character. You know what I mean? That's like literally there, but only they know it's a demon, which is always fun. Could even be a reject exile demon because they're actually a good guy. In fact, the ambiguity could be fun of whether they're imagined or some like epic old evil returning. Yeah, that's true. Which I feel like you need a little bit of like humor here to contrast this stuff. The real demon was the friend we made along the way. Yeah. I feel like there's some vibes there. Okay. We've had 15 people vote now. I feel like people have had enough time. Chris, are you thinking of Mushu? The small dragon? Okay. All right. Call the vote. Vivilia, let's call it. Yeah, the great and powerful Mushu, specifically. Okay, so I feel like we're definitely going with the demon-possessed character. So then we also have, what else is in the lead here? It's almost a tie between learning special language to tap into ancient chi powers, and then the student setting off on their own. So let me make this much tinier. Okay. So I wonder if the demon turns out to be good or evil in the end. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Okay. I think we can combine these top few a little bit. So we're getting rid of this one. Getting rid of this one. Getting rid of this one for sure. Those two are even until like the end. Yeah. Ooh, what if the language is the language of devils or demons or something? Yeah. Yeah. And just as a pre-warning to everybody, like, we're using a lot of like very specific terminology and stuff to this, but like as we actually go and like build out the world building, we might replace these with similar concepts, right? Like it might not necessarily be like, ancient chi powers. It might be something semi-similar to that. It might not necessarily be a demon-possessed character, but it would be something similar to that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so we have a character makes deal with a demon, or maybe they don't even make a deal, but to learn special language to tap into ancient chi powers. And sets off on their own after master wouldn't teach them something. Or let them take on something like that. Demon could be an angry ghost, powerful in life, but died without honor, potentially. Student disciple leaves their clan because of some sort of demonic spirit in their body. The demon leads them towards an ancient record or lost magical knowledge that awakes the demon's true power. Could be something like that. Needs a student for redemption. If only we had an already made language for making bargains and deals with spirits. Hey, that goes with a different world. Needs student for Redemption Pact could be a good feint if it's not actually a demon, but faking to be one. Oh, that would be interesting. So many things. Okay, before we make that too specific, we needed to decide on our either. I feel like the main character wants this knowledge, right? They're motivated to do something, which I feel like should tie into the code of honor, chivalric romance, something like that stuff. That they're either trying to defeat some bad guy or stop something, right? Crossover. No crossover. No. It would be actually pretty cool though. But no. Okay, so Lost Scroll Piece of Knowledge is one option, but I feel like that could maybe be bad with this given that they're already trying to learn the secret language from them unless like they need another thing to unlock the demon's true powers. Stop bad guy after Emperor's magic stamps, help a monarch, something like that. So let's shoot some ideas of the bad guy. Well, yeah, but like the difference is I want to be able to build this based off, like to make it a good example world where the world that my spell language is set in has very, very strict and specific rules and magic systems that like it would be really hard to, because then if we pulled it into the world, then this whole world will be the same world as that world. And I mean, I guess it could be different worlds. I don't know. It would be a problem. But anyway, what is the big bad or what is the thing? Like, what is the character trying to accomplish as that external arc? What are we trying to do? We have a couple ideas here that sort of work. Shoot me some more ideas. Okay. Let's add a couple notes to this one. G powers could make them seem more like a witch than a martial artist. Okay. Can meditate to suppress demon, but gets powers if they don't. And some ambiguity on what the demon is and what they're after. Okay. The bad guy could be a more powerful demon that is a rival to the character's demon. That's true. Is the Emperor a stamp collector? Sorry. Jake says back after having something to eat. There are a fair number of languagey things that you could draw from Taoism if you're doing tea and stuff. Talismans, spirit possessions, texts, and stuff. Oh, that's true. I do like the helping the unprepared ruler against an invader one a lot, which can give us a step raider king for an antagonist because every story needs more step raiders potentially, or it could be protecting them from like something tied to like another demon or something. The villain half of the demon splits from the spirit and the character half maybe during an awakening. That's true. Like, yeah, I feel like it doesn't necessarily like need to be a big bad per se, but like I feel like there has to be some sort of motivation for the self-improvement, something they're either trying to help with, like there has to be something, right? True. So maybe demon has to split. 2 splits. Villain part out or something. I don't know. If you want the demon to be good, you could have it so the spirits were sort of guardian angels in ages past were demonized by people jealous of the power they granted to their chosen. Could be guardian angels. The stamp idea is from a real thing where Chinese emperors would have stamps for official documents. There's an idea that possessing the stamps grant you some power. Yeah. Oh, isn't there also the seals? Like certain seals would give you like command of certain places, or like the military, like you would have to have a special seal in order to be able to lead the military and stuff. So that could be a thing. Motivation by knowledge is a lot of fun. It makes me think Odin. How about your Faustian bargain is a bodily sacrifice? Always fond of body modification. BBEGSR fun. I don't know what BBEGS are. It could be to defeat another not honorable sect of martial artists that raid, control, oppress the region. Aaron's back. Maybe the demon has previously... Oh, Conley, you meant seals. Okay. Magic seal. Yeah, that could be a thing. So we could either stop bad guy after magic seal / recover it. That's one idea. We could have the lost scroll piece of knowledge. We can have this one, and then... Oh, big bad evil guy. Bubbling, borscht, and trusting garlic. Okay. Could be a, oh, what's the word? Rival demon possessed person, maybe? Hey there, demons, it's me, your boy. Hey, Ross, we were talking about you earlier. Okay. To be good. Okay, so maybe this is a, maybe one idea tying some of that together is that the character could want to, they just want to grow and learn, right? And so they're offering to take the demon on a mission of redemption where they're trying to like fix things. I don't know. We talked about those in a few different options. Okay. Betrayed by evil geniuses. It could be about reclaiming the magic seal for the semi-incompetent ruler to get to the throne. / recover magic seal or semi-incompetent ruler. Okay. All right. So who wants to make another poll for me? Did I miss any? Demon. Hello, fellow mortals. Is that how you got so good at stuff, Ross? Wuxia Blues Brothers. They are on a mission from God. I feel like adding in a bit about the ruler reclaiming the throne might be muddying the theme a bit here. There's already a lot going on in this concept. That's true. That could be a good point. Maybe their culture just makes them all trip on hallucinogenics and they're talking to their suppressed selves. I mean, maybe. Let's see. Could be trying to be a shadow puppeteer of the incompetent ruler. Okay, hold on. I'm adding another one, Vilia. Stop shadow puppeteer ruler. Okay. And then we'll have to figure out what our mystery is. Character. Gotta love an evil advisor. I know. Makes me think of what's the Disney one? I can hear the song in my head. Aladdin. There we go. Makes me think of Aladdin. My favorite evil advisor, Jafar. Yeah, we're on the same wavelength. Oh no. Okay. It's good. Okay. Let me close this. And then we need poll number 2. Okay. Is mystery an option in the poll? No, the mystery is not an option. We will have a mystery side plot that will it might just be like the mystery of something related to the demon, but I feel like there will also be a mystery. You know what I'm saying? That's just a given. Okay, here we go. Copy link. Oh, Jafar reminds me, everyone should watch Twisted. It's wicked, but for Jafar. I had not heard of that. I will have to look into that. Okay. So let's see. I want to open the poll too. It might be a bit of a toughie, but you could consider making some kind of posteriori Sino-Tibetan sister language. Oh boy. I mean, yeah. That could be a thing. Oh gosh. Oh boy. Okay, hold on. Where is the poll? Okay. Okay. Twisted is on YouTube. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm surprised. The Demon on a Mission of Redemption is it currently in the lead. But we're only at 11 participants so far. So let's see what we got. Okay. We all love a good redemption arc, it seems. Yes. I will say one of my favorite characters. Well, okay, there's definitely redemption arc. I think maybe not directly. There's definitely some redemption arc isms in Alchemy of Souls, but also who doesn't love a good Prince Zuko redemption arc? I mean, best redemption arc ever, if I will say. Conlanger says to Jake, she's just a baby, Conlanger. Don't make her read Proto-Sino-Tibetan dictionaries right out the gate. Although what I would do is make you all read it for me on streams as I basically muddle through it and you all have to do it for me because could the monarch betray the person who helped them to create background lore for a sequel in the far future? Oh, I don't know. Demon on a Mission of Redemption reminds me of Dimension 20's Fantasy High. Yeah, someone else can read the dictionaries. Exactly, Jake. Yeah, like, it doesn't have to necessarily be becoming a good person, right? Because I think that's too, like, I don't love the whole super obvious good evil thing. I mean, obviously, like, it's a good trope in certain places, but I like the idea of it being a little bit less clear cut, like making amends for a betrayal or something. I do like that. Yes, everyone loves a good Prince Zuko. It's my favorite person. See, I said this. Yes, Jake, we're on the same page. Yeah, Zuko is such an archetypal redemption arc that the two have practically become synonyms at this point. Yes. Conlanger says, me and Jake could probably help. Yeah, true. Although, like, we're not actually writing this story. So, like, do we actually need to do that? Yeah, to start out as an asshole, but at the end they're a slightly more honorable asshole who's loyal to his people. Yeah. Okay. I mean, we could always have, like, a shenanigans, like, starting bit, like a sketch of it. I don't think we need, like, a full language thing, but okay, let me check. I think we can probably call the poll there. 17 participants. That's kind of the most we've gotten in the other ones. That's the wrong thing that I just clicked on. Okay, so we are definitely on a Demon on a Mission of Redemption. And then the second place is to stop the shadow puppeteer of an incompetent ruler. Okay. Okay. Unclear good evil is also good for the demon since Eastern demons are like not always evil. Yeah, so I think it makes sense to have it not be like, something MZ calls moral, but to the honest is not on a moral axis. Yeah, that's true. We could we'll definitely want to pull that in because even though this pulls in like code of honor and chivalry and redemption, what that means in this society might be something very different that we can play with when we get to that part of the world building guide. Woo! Yeah, what's usually translated as demon from Hanzi/Kanji tends to be more accurately described as a supernatural being or spirit in English. Yeah. And also again, once we get to those stages, like the specific terminology we're using here won't necessarily stay anyway. Makes a deal with supernatural being, but we can note it just to be clear. But what's winning right now is Demon on a Mission of Redemption and stopping the shadow puppeteer. So I think that they have agreed to learn a special in exchange for helping the demon on a mission of redemption. Ooh, can we get a fox spirit in it? We could think about doing something like that. We can make conlang words. That's actually a good point. Oh gosh. Okay. Let me just make a note. Could do some introductory conlanging come up with names for things. Yeah, you guys really know how to bribe Madeline. Yeah. Okay, wait, where was I? So could kidnap Conlangery and Jake to look at Tibetan language out of inspiration. Okay. I will note that. It's not her fault. Language is fun. Maybe the demon could seek a way out of the metaphysical samsara the world is looping through. Oh, that could be interesting. The ancient evil awakens. Their evil speech leaves the populace cheering because society has changed while they were gone. Honestly, yeah. Okay, I want to keep it like semi-vague here. So yes, to help them on a mission of redemption, and then stop the shadow puppeteer of a competent ruler. And sets off on their own. And let's just say the student is motivated to challenge the shadow puppeteer of an incompetent ruler, right? That's their it also doesn't have to be Sino-Tibetan, just an idea if we were going for a key analog. And question mark. The demon could be someone the student kills in the future, maybe. I feel like that goes against the vibes here. You know what I mean? Okay, so we have that. And then there'll be some sort of mystery, which I feel like there'll be a mystery about the demon, etc. Right? We'll say there's a mystery with that. So that gives us our story ideas. Which gives us our character, gives us the internal arc, gives us the external arc, rough pitch. I mean, I feel like the tone is kind of implicit. And then honestly, the setting here, we don't actually have anything here other than some like society bits, right? Like honor-based society with some form of supernatural spirits, demons of some form. And we know that there's going to be some sort of, I mean, I guess there's like martial arts-based society where martial arts is probably like really honored and all that stuff. We could also have, what do we know from this? Okay, wait, I'm getting more how to pronounce things. Yeah, chi. That's why we spell chi. Ki is chi. Okay, so just chi. Okay, just chi. Okay. Could have something a priori that just happens to have some similar features and developments to Chinese. That's true. That's true. I world build a society where specialization versus jack of all trades is a moral question. Similarly, the demon could be associated with something that we see as practical, but the characters see as moral. That's true. What if the language of the country is Sinitic-like and the demon language is Sanskrit-like? That could be interesting. I'm not super duper familiar about the language features there, as I am, as we put it, a baby conlanger and baby linguist in general. Cheese and older spelling before opinion. The demon is Finnish. Okay. Anyway, so we have a lot of flexibility with where we place the society. Like, we don't really have much requirements at all. So our main players here, I feel like there needs to be not necessarily players, but some sort of organization or culture around martial arts study, right? However that it works in the culture, whether that would imply there being some sort of like actual organizations for it or guilds for it, or whether it's like more temple based or like whatever they would have would be something that we need to have here. We'd obviously need to have the leader / emperor plus their puppeteer. And then players. Basically, we need to have everyone that, like, the demon's trying to get redemption against in some way. So probably various entities that demon needs redemption from. And then various, we'll call them subregions. Various subregions to journey through. I think that's kind of all of it. New slide. Whoop. Oh no. Okay, do we have any more thoughts on this? Maybe an organization that hunts and sues demons to further their own agenda, like a demonic cult or an ancient sect trying to take the devil's innate essence for themselves. Yeah, like something that could be a like chill, low-key, antagonistic force. Evil scheming eunuch or something. Well, I don't know if we'll have eunuchs in here per se, but like something, some sort of, what are the people called? Not like cannon fodder, but like, not hooligans, thugs. Yeah, some sort of like, antagonistic organization, thugs of some form. Maybe anti-demon or demon worshipping. Some form. Goons. Yeah. Goons, grunts. Yes, there are many G words. Let's call thugs / goons that they just run into, right? Like somewhere for them to run into, and like, because we need to use martial arts skills, right? If we're learning martial arts, we need to use the martial arts. So we'll, it'll be epic. Okay. Mooks is a good one. When in doubt, bandits. That's true. That's true. Let's just add bandits too. Because there just needs to be a lot of like episodic villains. Okay. So now we need to name this. I want a name for this story. Let's hear it. Let's hear some ideas. And maybe we'll actually get to vote on this one if there isn't a super clear winner. Leave a like if you love gooning. The Demon and the Brat. That could be fun. The demon in my head can't be my true master. So ideas, the demon and the brat. I am not doing that long of a name, but we could do the demon in my head. That could be something. My demon master. Sounds like it would be the name of one of these shows. All right. Any last suggestions before we vote? Unless someone has something that just knocks it out of the park. Why would you do that to me? Why would you do that to me? I don't know what that says. That'll get at least a few clicks on Netflix. Yeah. Sounds like a cultivation anime. The demon made me do it. Oh wait, that's funny. Hold on. The demon made me do it. Starting to get slightly too long, but I feel like that's right on the edge where it's okay. All right, so we have 4 ideas. My demon master feels like a very... You're not wrong, Formica. You're not wrong. We could go with teacher instead to be more PG feeling. I'll throw together a poll again. Perfect. Let's get a poll. I let a demon infest my soul, and all I got for it was this side roundhouse kick. Oh, it means possessed by evil, according to Google Translate. Oh, okay, okay. They have crazy ones like I'm a vending machine in another world. Yeah. I second the demon made me do it. Okay. We're already moving towards a poll, so we'll do a poll at least, but I like that. And I'm gonna add a note, moral ambiguity. Just to add that here. Good, evil. Yeah, because we'll want to explore that. This is very fun. This is very fun. Okay. So what? Oh wait, I should probably open up Discord so I see when the poll comes through. Okay, here we go. I was a janitor in another life and reincarnated as a martial arts student with an evil spirit in my head. Okay. Okay. There's one light novel where the entire story is the title. Oh, that's fun. Okay. That's like half of them. Yeah. I feel like I've definitely seen some weird ones, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like most of the TV I watch these past few years has been either like Chinese or Korean historical dramas because I'm just a big fan. I love the tropes. I love how they can be like serious but also still like lighthearted in the same way. I don't know. They're very fun. We might need a runoff round after this because of how close it is, maybe. Let's see. Ooh, okay. 13 people have voted so far. Let's see if we get one pulling ahead. Okay, we're at 14 people voting. My demon teacher made me do it. Oh, yeah, two people. Yeah, two people said the same time. Also sounds vaguely Nazi. I mean, I feel like it just vibes for this one to have a lot of like undercurrents of jokes without it actually being. You know what I mean? It could be a thing. Apprentice of Evil would have been good. Oh, that could have been cool too. Okay, so the demon made me do it. Got 10 votes instead of 9. Do we want to just go with that, or we have a run? Okay, let's go with the runoff poll. If you've already got it set up, let's go with it. I think we embrace the obscene implications. I agree. I agree. Is this poll? What number would this be? This would be poll 4. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay, here we go. Copy link. Paste link. All right, let's see it, people. Okay. Okay. 8 votes. 8 votes. 9 votes. We do have one pulling ahead. Fun, distracting fact. Look at my wonderful alpaca. It's made out of real alpaca hair. It's very soft. Would you treat me like the devil tonight? Yeah, this is looking like a landslide. I agree. The demon made me do it. Yeah, I feel like we have a clear winner. For sure. Okay. So the winner is The demon made me do it. So far, we have Cyberpunk 1477 and The Demon Made Me Do It. My demon master doesn't read as obscene to me. Obviously, I can tell how it would read as such, but I feel like this is about demons. They control people. Reading is more obvious. Yeah, like I feel like that would be fine. I think it would be fine. But The Demon Made Me Do It is clearly, I think, the winner here. Also, I have an alpaca from Peru with alpaca hair. That's wonderful. I don't have them all here on my desk. This is my little one, but I may or may not have like 6 of these that random people have given me from work because I have a weird like it's a long inside joke, but I'm like the alpaca person at work. It's great. Okay. So, okay. Now what we're going to start doing is we want to, I think, place both of these on our map. Like choose where on our map they're going to be. And then once we have figured out where they're going to be, we will place our third story on our map and start working with that. So let us, oh my gosh, how have we been doing this for 2 hours already? I was like, oh, this is going to be like a 30-minute stream. No. Okay. So here's our world map, although let me this is all of the names of the places. So does anyone have any initial ideas if you've watched the Middle Ages video for where either of these stories could go, right? And try not to go for like the obvious stereotypical answer, right? Like let's not try to put the demon maybe did it in like a China analog, for example, right? For the demon made me do it, I think we place it on the Western continent in an old civilization. You have a parliament of world builders here. We have opinions and ideas. Yes. Okay, so the Western continent being Wycombe, which would be, we could pick it randomly and let the environment dictate the starting location that would influence the story. That's true. Oh, are we thinking 1477 in the Empire in northern Wycombe? A group of world builders should be called a parliament, like the owls. I agree. Yeah. Okay. So here's some thoughts. Some thoughts, actually, though, for 1477. We could have it be in the settlement of Cellar, like have one of the empire that comes over here into this area. Let me pull that up real quick, though. The one over here that they set up the empire here, so that could be an option. The demon could be where storms and lightning happen most. A pantheon of world builders. Yeah. Would Cellar have that many people? So it's been a while since people moved here. And there's a lot of high resources. So I think we could vibe it. Like there's hundreds of years. So I feel like especially if we were leaning towards like where they were setting up these colonies and they all rushed here because maybe there's some great magical like resources that they found here, that could make sense. Maybe after a massive population immigration boom. Yes, I think that works. Let's see. Okay, so we're thinking there's some vibes on Cellar for 1477. Okay. So that would mean, how do I want to like indicate this? Let me just, take a screenshot of this guy here. Copy, bring this down to Cellar. Let's make this smaller. So we could have it be set in Cellar. Is there a good rainforest one? One of my lecturers specialized in how Chinese medicine worked in Vietnam, so I could do some of those conventions fairly easily. So it's not necessarily currently being colonized. It, as part of the Middle Ages, was colonized, right? So it could have been like almost 1,000 years ago, right, that it was colonized, and they've had time for a ton of people to come over here and have a big population boom, right? Um, but let's go through, do I have a big, so here's the climate map, here's biome, so we're looking for this dark color here. So we have a few options. We could either go over here, which would be Southeast Wycombe. We could go down here, which this was a region that has been destroyed multiple times due to volcanic reactions or reactions, volcanic eruptions. So this might not be a good choice. And then there's also in here and over here. I can pull up a few of those. So Wycombe, or although it might be too well, I mean, it might not be a problem for it to be really close here. But if we look at Wycombe, this would be region 2. So we had states develop, large empire develops in the rainforest, building platforms to raise settlements above the ground. Yeah, there were gem mines. There were larger states that they were trading with in 1 and 2. So they're fighting over this region right here. Yeah, there would definitely be some sort of magical wellspring or some source of magic down there that they would discover. So yeah, so we could either do it here. Do you want a desert setting that could highlight the difference in culture and ideas? Maybe we look at something like that for the third one. If we're looking for something tropical here. But yeah, so that's one option. And then the other one would be, actually, what is on Barnes? No, not tropical. So let's go down to Malaspina. Where's Malaspina? Here we go. So over here, which, let's see. Empire branched down around the south tips of the gold mines. Yeah, so I feel like there's a long-lived empire here, and also over in here, there would have just been an empire that then rescinded from going down this way. So let's see. A region that has been destroyed multiple times by volcanic eruption sounds perfect for a place where demons are part of the mythology and individuals accrue great personal magical power. I like the idea of a city-state for the demon story. Okay, a city-state could be cool. Volcanic eruptions would mean that civilization could have been destroyed and rebuilt. Yeah. Yeah, we can get spirits anywhere. Volcanoes and demons go together like salt and pepper. Miles is officially out of a meeting, so hope they did not miss anything of importance. We've come up with the first 2 story ideas and we've named them and they're epic, and now we just have to place them. Yeah, like we could go volcanoes, we could go city states, we could go something more like if we're leaning more rainforest, which like somewhere up and around here could make a lot of sense for that. And so could the one off Wycombe. Historical city-state politicking is fascinating. Yes, I do love it. I've been reading, where is it? Polis by John Ma. I feel like that's not the full name there, but it's very good. So where did we have city-states? Yeah, we ended with elite-controlled duchies down here. Empire branched down around south tip and up to gold mines. Yeah, I feel like city-state sounds like a stellar idea, but I'd suggest the city-state having some colony villages to explain why the characters go in the jungle. We get a bamboo forest scene. Could be fun. Region 2? Oh, up here? There's no rainforest up there if we were going for rainforest. I think if we're going rainforest city-state, what do I have? Well, let me look at the end map real quick for where we could have city-states. So city-states would probably be this yellow color. So we do have yellow here, which would be next to a rainforest. So like right here could be a good spot for rainforest city-state. We could probably argue it being up over here too. So either Wycombe or Malaspina. So the regions I think that we're considering are either, well, I mean, we were also considering here. So we could go here, which would be where there's the volcano. Wow. That's volcano. This would be very isolated if we did it in here, because most of this isn't very centralized. We could go here, and this would be maybe a little bit more centralized than a typical city-state, but it could be a very centralized city-state. Or up in here would work. So 1, 2, 3, 4 are kind of our options here. And just remember that this area right here is settled. It was originally settled by an empire here, from here, but have since broken off, potentially hundreds of years ago. So they're like more isolated now. Wycombe isolated is a nice option in here. Okay. Does anyone oppose option 1, or do we think we just go with option 1 for this? Does it have rainforest nearby as it's equatorial? This one? Yeah, this is rainforest. This whole little region in here is rainforest. Which... It's up here. Oh wait, this is the wrong one. Hold on. Yeah, so you can see this dark green here, right, is all rainforest. We're getting more 1 and 3. We're liking 1. Okay, we're going with 1. It's sold. Let's do... Actually... Go in here. Copy. Here we go. Super helpful. If these stories are supposed to be roughly contemporary, where are we saying the people who colonized the southern continent have come from? I think I covered that after you typed that, because I'm a little behind. Yeah, lots of iron too. Yes. Okay. So this is where the demon made me do it will be set. And then we have this place on seller for Cyberpunk 1477. So now let's return to our map here real quick. Let me... So we have one story set here, somewhere in there, and one story set somewhere in here, right? So that's what we're looking at. Oh yeah, what is everyone's take on having rather distinct stories, different genres, power systems, etc. in the same setting world? I mean, I feel like that's fine. I don't think we need to have like a hardcore like omniverse or like single world of stories kind of vibe. The Cyberpunk 1477 location reminds me of Lagos for some reason, with all the little islands. Yeah, it could be fun. Could definitely be fun in there. I think the third setting would fit really well in a stagnating or collapsing empire. Okay, so if we were looking for that, let's go through what we have left, avoiding these specific regions, right? So like I'll start with these 2 continents. Okay. So this region has large rich kingdoms at the end. Oh wait, no, this is the wrong one. Sorry, I keep doing this. Am I missing a continent? No, here we go. Thurston. Something like a massive, highly centralized state that has dominated an entire region, millions of people for well over 2 or even 3 centuries, but its bureaucracy is overrun by corruption. The central government is unable to exert its authority over its subjects, and nomads are pouring into the realm and bankrupting it. The late stage capitalism analog. Okay, So let's see what we have here. I feel like 1 would be a bad choice because they've been fighting a lot over dominance of this gold mine region, and 1 has kind of taken more control there. Um, for number 2, we're ending with a growing empire, like trade empire over here as they're trading. Although we could pick something like in a slightly different region. We already talked about 4. We have less centralized polities here due to forming after recent eruptions. So 5. Um, 5 is a pretty the word I was about to say is not even remotely the right word. God, it's okay. Anyway, there's been a lot of like warfare in 5 as they're like fighting over control of various territories with empires fracturing and pulling apart. So what we had at the last one was like the North is eventually becomes stabilized with a new treaty, but it could still, be a little bit different. 7 is mostly migratory. So I don't see anything that's like a direct comparison for that. And 2, setting it around one of those groups that's being subsumed could be interesting. Yeah, because we have other groups unite together, especially to the north and south, fighting for land for the empire. Huge volcanic eruptions from larger island of 4 causes enough disturbance in the south that those kingdoms fragment and the empire swoops down. So what we had is like that empire kind of swooping down to gain a little bit of control. So let me see what we ended up with here. Yeah, so we ended up with an empire, a new empire forming here to grab control of some of that land, and this empire is kind of controls all of this right now, but they're in like a position of growth. 4, it allow for power struggles based on ancient myths and beliefs. That's true. 5 is a pretty solid option in my opinion. Let me remind myself what 5 is. Yeah, we could go with 5. Maybe it's a state that rose there extremely quickly and then the power maintains its hegemony? I always want to say homogeny for a long time, despite the geography making it difficult to maintain. 2 also works brilliantly due to its massive scale. Yeah. Okay, let's vote between 2, 4, and 5. Where 2, we could set it, let me get we'll go purple. So we'll say 2 would be set like down here, maybe, if that's what we were thinking with that. 4 would be just, somewhere over here. And then 5 would probably be up with the main kingdoms up in there. Want a ranked choice poll? Let's do it. Let's do it. It could be 2 and 4 if it's a big empire. Let's keep them separate. Let's keep them separate for now. Because right now with the maps for the Middle Ages, we have them kind of separate. What is going on? Da, 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 da. Okay. Patrick says, sorry, missed the last part of the discussion. That is okay. Oh no. My son starts summer camp next week. For the first time. Okay, we're trying to decide where we want to place setting number 3 or scenario 3. Right now, what we have is Cyberpunk 1477 is going to be a exploded, not like post-industrial, but like a lot of growth in a city down in here for off Cellar, which was recently discovered within the last 1,000 years. The Demon Made Me Do It is going to be in is this Wycombe? The southeast rainforest of Wycombe. Like a isolated city-state kind of vibe in there. So that's right here, Wycombe. And then the other one, Cyberpunk 1477 is over here. Is this your actual world building project for your writing, or is this an example world? This is an example world. I have created this in order to basically show you examples that aren't my worlds, right? Like I have gone in a lot more detail for my worlds for this, but yeah, this one is for the example vibes. Okay, do I have Copy link, siege poll. This is for a political intrigue siege involving potentially story. 4 has the best scope for maritime culture, I think, which is my absolute favorite thing to world build. Maritime culture could be fun. To note onto that, 5 doesn't have basically any maritime culture. Like, they don't have any widespread like navy or anything. They've mainly been able to focus on transportation through like rivers and stuff like that because there's a lot of rivers throughout this region. 2 is the main empire on this like autocratic empire at this point has a lot of maritime trade now with the other continent, Marispina, I think. And then there would probably be a lot of like smaller scale maritime culture down here with 4. This is not your story world. I thought it was near Clickatat. Yeah. It's not my right here. Yeah, Clickatat. That's where the place and seller is. Yeah, but this isn't like a world where I'm writing my books in, right? This isn't one of my like book worlds, if that makes sense. This is just for the guide, and we're creating these stories to world build things around as examples later on in the guide. I put the poll in. Let me pull this up myself real quick to figure out where we want to set this one. Okay. All the ads. Okay. We have 16 votes so far. Oh, because we're ranking it. Ooh. We're leaning towards 2 right now. Which I feel like I should pull this back up for everybody. That's the wrong one. Hold on. Thurston. Here we go. Okay. Give everyone a little bit more time. I think this is going good. Oh, and if anybody hasn't seen the Save the Date for the World Building Festival, save the date for the World Building Festival. It's the weekend of September 5th, 6th, and 7th, I think it is, and it's going to be absolutely epic. So put it on your calendar. Oh, we're at a tie right now. Okay. I'll give it another minute. Oh my god. I know, it's neck and neck. Water. Someone needs to make a plugin for Illustrator or Photoshop that lets us draw and animate on a spherical canvas. I hate G-plates. Honestly, I would be so behind that. Oh, okay, we have a question. How would you say your real story world building differs from the guides? Just more detailed? Yeah, so I think it's like less breadth and more depth would probably be how I'd put it, because like I write like doing a world at the detail that like you would need for like a book per se for a whole world would take so much time, and I like the main thing I'm doing is writing books, right? So I have to kind of choose the important elements, which is sort of why we're going with this sort of example style. Because then we can sort of look at what would make sense to world build. But like I'll go really, really in depth on the things that are more relevant for my story. But like I might even skip entire stages. It kind of depends on what I'm doing specifically. Whereas this is again just like I'm doing a little bit of everything, less detailed than I would if I actually cared about that for a story world, and just, doing it all over. So do you want to run off? I think we need a runoff. Yeah, I think we need a runoff for this. You can do it in Blender. It's not super high resolution, but you can export the texture back out as a flat map for later. Yeah, that's true. Hello, James. Yeah, I think we need a runoff. We're so close between 2 and 4. Yeah. I do like the region 4. I've thought about it a lot of the like you see a lot of societies develop near volcanoes and stuff where they have a lot of cultural significance behind why the volcanoes erupt and stuff, which is always I always find that interesting. Okay, here's our poll for our runoff votes. Okay, pull this up. Okay, 2 people have voted right now, and it's a landslide because they've both voted for the same thing. It doesn't actually matter yet. Let's see what we got. Okay, we're at 12 votes. Oh, I think we're pulling ahead with a winner. Let's get a couple more votes in. This poll thing is very fun. I've never done a stream, like a type of stream where I've had to do yeah, it's a landslide, then 7 votes in come for the other option. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've never done polls before because it hasn't like really been necessary in the stuff I've done, but this is fun. Yeah, I think we have a pretty solid winner here. We're going with 4. The small centralized polities region, fearful of volcanoes. And the empire still has the chance to turn the tide. That's true. Like there could be some like light shenanigans involved there. But okay. So let's yes, let's get rid of that. So now I do not normally world build like this. Wait, this is the wrong PowerPoint that I have up. You don't want to know how many things are up on my computer right now. You do not want to know. Okay. So we are going with region 4. Yeah, the 2 aren't necessarily incompatible with each other. They always have a chance to meet the Ewoks. Okay, so let me copy over this just so we have the notes because we are doing a world building first approach, right? So I'll copy that over. Let me go back up to here. Oh, this is actually a fairly tropical region getting into some are those deciduous forests? Doesn't matter too much, but we'll go a little bit of this because I feel like that's kind of our vibe. Okay. I think that's really tiny, but what else do we have of the maps that is interesting? I'll just put this up for a minute while we think about it. So we wanted to do some sort of this is political intrigue, right? With a siege. There's going to be a siege in our story. We have that so far. Oh, thank you for coming, Chris. Thank you. Wait, hold on. Have you seen or heard of Ixcanol? It's the first film in the Mayan language Kaqchikel, and it's set on the flank of an active volcano. Oh, that's cool. We love that sweet, sweet volcanic soil. Yes. So we're going to have very, very fertile soil down here. A lot of fishing culture. Higher up in the mountains, we have some shifting culture. Up and over here, we get into, there's definitely plenty of rice agriculture, light plows. We need a lot of fortifications. Oh no. Oh no. That starts with a question mark. I don't remember what the question mark is. Something Ishkanol? 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 The original idea was siege was for the whole story to take place as the tale of a person in a city under siege, starting when the city was cut off and ending with either the city's fall or the relief. Yeah. So political intrigue set throughout a siege was the idea. Is there platinum in the volcano's old calderas? I do not world build platinum, so I don't know. Okay. So we have plenty of various animals available. There's pigs, there's cattle, there's camels and horses up further into the desert. Ugh, you know that's not a question mark. I know it's not a question mark, but I don't remember. Knowing the X is the SH sound is the most. I remember the little squiggly is the SH part. I remember that. Um, could be a central government being under siege by the revolutionaries. That's true. And remember, world first for this one, right? There's a lot of large scale Iron Age potential here. Trying to see if there's anything else that would be super noticeable. There's not a ton of useful gems. Plenty of iron. That's not super duper crazy useful. Because we're probably looking like maybe like in here. Yeah. We did pick a second like tropical area, but you know. Do we want it to be on one of the islands or do we want it to be on the mainland is also a question. But yes, the original idea was story could take place central government so central government under siege by the revolutionaries. Follow a person in a city under siege from when city is cut off to fall/relief. The title for the besieged story shouldn't be waiting for relief. Political intrigue within the city could be between a faction wanting to hold out versus those arguing for capitulation, particularly if this is a League War style conflict between two groups. Between holding out versus capitulation. Yeah, so two main groups there. You could have them highly deforest their island for contrast. That's true. That's true. Maybe one of the islands is being blockaded. Ooh, good point. Roman concrete would make good fortifications. I know we're doing world first, but the protagonist could be a minor character within the government, someone like a low-level bureaucrat or even something without a governmental position watching all the drama go down. That would be fun. Islands are fun, perhaps at the top of an estuary, so a large maritime city culture, but still fully surrounded by land to provide siege ability. That could make sense. So island could be heavily forested or deforested. On top of an estuary. Largely maritime culture. Okay. Since it's a siege story, another factor could be disease being caused by poor health / supply chain issues. Just adds another factor. Seas, and then there's general like running out of supplies. That's true. It could be a siege and a naval blockade. Siege and a naval blockade. The siege is coming from inside the city. I feel like there could be a force of something within the city. That could be fun too. Yeah, people get desperate. Yeah. Starvation, desperation. Yeah, knowing human nature. Okay, so trying to think of what else we can pull from the history. So we know more or less centralized polities have begun to form down here, taking advantage of the fertile volcanic soil, but they live in fear of future eruptions. So who do we want to say is... I mean, it could be that empire that was scooping down there if we look on this map, right? There is that empire that's swooping down. We could say that they're the ones that are doing of the siege. Okay. Maybe the character is the person that breaks the siege at the story climax. Either they rally the defense and expel the rebels, or betrays the city and opens the gate. I do like that. Food mafia is becoming rich and powerful during the siege by enclosing and monopolizing the means of sustenance and betraying the city to the enemy in exchange for privileged positions. Yeah. Maybe we get periodic relief slash resupply from ships running the blockade, but it's not reliable, predictable, or safe. Concentric siege. There was a city slash fort in ancient China where the blockaded soldiers started eating their dead and executed certain peoples, becoming more and more lenient on who they ate. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Island prison escape. One of the first people was the general's wife. Wow. Or consort. Could it be the revolutionaries as the ones under siege? Maybe they took over the capital and are holding out against the reactionaries, a la the Paris Commune. I feel like it makes sense that based off the location, if we're going world first, right? That the well, yeah, I think actually maybe we should switch it. The revolutionaries are the ones under siege, given the locations. If we want it on an island, revolution. Yeah, people under siege are the revolutionaries who have taken the city and are holding out in the face of a reactionary attempt to crush them. Well, they'd have won. Wow. Okay, so here's a problem though. If we're going world building first, right? If the empire's up here and it's coming down, I mean, we could say that they've taken an island, right? And then they've taken it back, right? So a foreign force or rebellion from the hinterlands has taken the capital under siege, and during that, several populists start a second revolution within the city to capture the central government. So essentially a popular coup. Blame has taken the capital under siege, and during that, several populists start a second revolution within the city to capture the central government. I do like that. Okay, so in order to make this make sense in here, so let's say the empire has expanded down into the islands as they expand maritime forces, maybe. They expand maritime forces, whatever. Set up new capital city or some sort of, like, it doesn't have to be the capital. It could be just like where the leaders live or something. New capital city on one of the islands. So then we have foreign force. Okay, no. Let's say there is a capital city of a maritime island kingdom. Doesn't have to be a kingdom, right? But polity of some form. The capital city. Okay. So the empire comes down to invade to claim better farmland, and they take the capital under siege. But then there is a rebellion from within the city to start a second revolution, taking the... we'll have to pull back. Hold on. There's a rebellion within the city, start a second revolution to take the central government. So maybe there's a capital that is being controlled in some form by the empire, but they have been rebelling or something. Revolutionizing, that's the wrong word. Okay, now let me catch up. If this is an area with a decentralized polity, the pushback against the invading empire has quite the feel of the Hellenic alliance of the Iliad. That could be told. Maybe it's an economic blockade instead of a military siege, also, although threat of military action is there. That could be possible. I feel like we were leaning for siege. Okay. So if we go for something like this, where yeah, something like that. Let's now take that a step forward and figure out who our character is. We've come up with a few options. We've talked about it being like some low-level person in the government. I like the idea of them being someone that then like a nobody that determines the fate of the siege. I think that could be fun. If the oppressive culture has tea, could the revolters throw some boxes in the bay right there? They certainly could. Yeah, so if our main character is a nobody of forms, not like a nobody, but like someone relatively insignificant, like a low-level bureaucrat, and determine the fate of the siege. Who would be so politically motivated as to waste good tea? Would be joked as the thirsty tea part. Okay. So we have, in terms of the forces here, yeah, so is able to watch all sides of the conflict go down. I think that would make sense. Is Meg Griffin confirmed? But what is the main character want? What is their motivation? Because I feel like they need to have some sort of motivation for why they're going to influence things and mess things up, right? Because there's like 3, I think, different forces here. There is the rebellion or revolutionaries that originally held the city. There is the sieging empire. And then there is the rebellion, the populace rebellion who from within the city is what we're looking at here. What radicalizes the character? I don't know. They live there and like how their life was before the siege, potentially, but which I would have that go with. Father, mother got kidnapped by the government as political dissident and fighting to find them. That's an option. I think the main character should be a massive opportunist who holds a grudge against literally everyone. Oh my gosh. Oh, she's partly from the indigenous folks who were on the island to begin with. That's a cool idea. And then we could have a last option or a fourth option. Indigenous folks originally on island. I like the idea of going with someone that was from the indigenous groups on the island because it makes sense. Because like if you have these revolutionaries that are fighting back and they're all like, you know, claiming territory and everyone's fighting over it, you could have this person hate all of them and be a hold a grudge against them all. And would go with whatever would cause all of them to suffer the most to get them out or something, maybe. Yeah, so asking how the process is different now with being a world-driven story rather than a story-driven world. So, I mean, we're not doing it the best here because we already kind of knew we wanted a siege story. But essentially, we're kind of picking a place and we're building up trying to build the plot from looking at like the land and what could have happened here reasonably versus coming up with a story and then placing it on the map. We're kind of building it with the world, you know? The main character cannot be a Redditor, people. Who do you would radicalize many characters is fair. Could have someone on the outside who to see them again, they must open trade back into the city. Ooh. I love an indigenous underdog. Yes. A literal undergod. Maybe there are legends of tunnels. Could be. Okay. Law. wants to be connected back with their people or some of their people that they're not with. Slightly confused as the order of events of the successive invasions. So right now, I think this is the vibe, right? That is, so there's a capital city of a maritime island kingdom, or it doesn't have to be a capital city, but it could be we could say it's a capital city of a maritime island kingdom. So taken from indigenous population originally, right? That is being controlled. The kingdom was controlled by the empire, but they have been revolutionizing, right? So, okay. A citadel on the volcano itself could be interesting. Okay, so let me clarify the order of operations. So first we have, this is going to get so impossible, I apologize. Make this bigger. I feel like we don't need this part. Make it sideways. Okay. So step one is we have a volcanic island with an indigenous farming community. I mean, they could be more than just, it doesn't necessarily have to be a farming maritime community, whatever. So then indigenous, I will say island is taken over by we'll just call them group A for now. So island is taken over by group A. I'll say united by group A. Then empire takes over or places imperialistic control over group A. And then the group A starts a revolution against the empire. And then that's pre-story. And then the story is then empire comes to lay siege on A's capital. So that's our thing. So then, oh, we do have to have magic somewhere, yeah. Yeah, do the indigenous folk worship a protective volcano god they pray to for protection? There has to be something with a volcano. Yes, exactly. Oh, no worries. I mean, I'm hoping we're finishing soon, Patrick. The god could send out fire elemental creatures when the indigenous people are low in numbers. That could be fun. Emboldens the revolutionaries to awaken the spirit deity of the volcano to do something about all the forces encroaching on the island. That could be fun. Will this be on the Discord forum? I hadn't planned on it per se because it's just going to be used in the guide. What kind of volcano are we talking? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a hot. I think isn't it a hotspot volcano? I think it's a hotspot volcano. So like, maybe Hawaii vibes. Although I do. Ooh, what kind of? It's like an island arc volcano. I can't remember which kind that is. Yeah, exactly. Vulcan. They are also imperialistic, right? Volcanic eruption is a final resort nuclear option. Yeah. That could be fun. Central government under siege. Yeah, conflict holding out. Yeah, those are our notes. Okay. Let me move this up here. I feel like I'm running out of space here. Yeah, so we have that. So then on the capital, and then that's what happens within it. Yeah. I feel like it would be fun for there to be some sort of like either like fire spirits or fire magic or something with the volcano or the gods like within the volcano or something like that that could be like used against the forces maybe, and maybe like they don't like all these like imperialistic nonsensers don't believe in it or something. Those are our notes. Yes, we have the revolutionaries that originally held the city, also imperialistic. We have the sieging empire. We have the popular rebellion / coup from within the city. And then we have the indigenous folks originally on the island, blah, blah, blah. And these are connected to fire magic or god relating to the volcano. And the story is essentially them witnessing the whole thing, maybe trying to small ways to mess with them all throughout it. Magma powered dwarf fortress in the volcano. Is the volcano within the besieged area or without? I don't know. I kind of figured the besieged area would be like on the island, but at the base of it. But yeah, or on the city, on the volcano slopes, like, or at the base of the mountain, like on the island, but at the base of the volcano, maybe. So then, yeah, I feel like we kind of have it already, but we have our character who, yeah, has been brought on as a low-level bureaucrat, is sort of a nobody, and move this. Yeah, main character is a nobody, whatever. Germans have faded the siege. So I feel like they have a grudge against everyone. Maybe like sabotaging everyone. Ooh, lava tubes connecting the city's administrative districts to the heart of all the magic in the volcano. That could be cool. It's probably predictably erupting volcano, but one little tweak and suddenly things get pyroclastic. That could be fun. I do like the idea of the lava tubes. Okay, let's add that in. They have a grudge of sabotaging everyone until eventually having to decide whether to use volcano's magic to destroy them all. Lava tubes connecting cities, admin districts to the heart of all the magic in the volcano, left over from indigenous settlements. Yeah. Definitely a good idea. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that, and I don't think we need it. Move this up. I'm just going to yeet that. All right, so I think that gives us a pretty good idea there. I'm getting big villain protagonist vibes here. Lovely, lovely. Yeah, always here for it. Main character being of the indigenous islanders might be seen as quite a last resort option for Group A to hire as a bureaucrat. I mean, yeah, potentially, unless they have, like, do they hire them due to their connection to the magic or something or whatever. What siege weaponry looks like in a world with magic is always interesting. I think cats should have been the first ones to find the tunnels because they're warm. That would be fun. Yeah, necessary for magic or communicating with the gods, or like maybe they've convinced them that they need to give them some level of role in order to keep the volcano. Oh, wait, hold on. I have a phone call real quick, and it might be the people working on my house. Hello? Okay, yes, they are done their work, so I need to go out and check everything. So let's wrap this up. Keeps the volcano. Yeah, something to keep it. They could have both been scraping the barrel. Yes. Okay. Let's name this story. Let's get a name, and I feel like that's a good place to. That's true. Are from the coast across from them might pass members of their. That's true. That's true. They might be entirely is homogenous the word I'm thinking, or like visually. Let's name the story. And let's try to do it semi-quickly because I have to go check all the installation of everything and make sure it all looks good. Just got a good idea. Where was I here? Question mark. I feel like it has to have something with the siege. The name Red Eye Obsidian. I don't know. We could always go with something lame like Siege of the Volcano or Volcano Siege or something. I don't know. That's true. It could be a purely symbolic position. Yeah. Fiery Revolution encircled. Revolution encircled. Circled. Prelude to eruption. Fire shield. Yeah, that's an idea. I feel like prelude to eruption gives away the bit a little bit. Whose city is it anyway? Wait, actually though, can we do that one? Whose city is it anyway? Whose city is it anyway? I feel like I want to go with that one. And I'm just gonna declare that that's the winner. Okay. If anyone has any other ideas, you can throw them in the comments at some point. Probably on the actual video, not the live chat. And we can come back and look at them later. But we're going to expand on all these cities throughout the guide. And it's going to be great. And yeah, I think that's great. We've descended into autocracy. Yeah, pretty much. I have to go. So thank you all for coming and helping out. This has been fun. I'm excited to explore these. And yeah, I will see you all in the next one.